All right, we're going to keep moving on. Congressman Jody Hice. We're going to move to Congressman Hice right now. Congressman Jody Hice is, he's a great friend of ours. Come on in, Congressman. We do this on the fly. Great to see you. Nice to see you. John Schlafly, John.
Thank you very much.
Come on in, everybody. Congressman Hice, here's the thing. This is perfect. He's a pastor and then a radio show host. So you were just a slippery slope. It's a slope downward.
Yeah.
And now you're in Congress. Yes. Now what's happening? So welcome, the 10th Congressional District in Georgia. So welcome, Congressman Hice. And first of all, we've been doing this here with our Eagle Countdown. We got folks that are on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook all across the country. And we're talking one through line of our conversation is, what is the 3.5 years, Trump and Pence administration? What's your favorite promise kept? What, the president ran, the Trump-Pence administration said they do stuff. What one jumps out to you?
Well, there's several, to be honest with you. Obviously, the pro-life issues, the family values, the protection of religious liberties, all of those personally rank extremely high. But I was able to be there in Jerusalem when the embassy was moved.
Wow.
And that was one of the highlights, literally, of my life. We have had every president for decades tell us we're going to move the embassy to Jerusalem, and no one did it. The President Trump made that promise, and sure enough, he did it. And it was absolutely spectacular.
You remember?
And the world didn't fall apart.
Yeah, I was just going to say, John Kerry said, if you do this, our position in the world, in the Middle East, is nothing. We'll never have peace. No one will deal with us. John Kerry, he's consistently wrong. At least you could say that.
At least he is consistent. But yeah, I mean, it was literally one of the highlights of my life to be there and be part of that ceremony. But you guys were talking about the wall. I mean, how many of us could ever forget those rallies where it breaks out, build that wall, build that, and here comes he builds the wall. I mean, rebuilding the military. I mean, it's just been spectacular.
But one of the things that must be challenging for you is you came up here, he wins, you got all these things happening directional, then the Republicans lose the House. And Nancy Pelosi, I often tell people there's only one dictator in American politics, is the Speaker of the House, especially when it's Pelosi. Once she gets the gavel, she's got total control. In this case, with COVID, she just took everybody's votes and put them in her pocket. I mean, it's really, you talk about draining the swamp. It feels like, at least on your side and in that chamber, the swamp's winning or won.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head in describing her as being toxic. She is, in every sense of the word. And even right now, there are a number of us who are trying to put forward a call for her to vacate the chair because of that. She has done everything against this country, against the president, against the rules of the House, the institution that we have here. We're not having any amendments. We're not able to have debates and issues that we should be debating on. Of course, she's wasted 2 years on impeachment over a very thing that the Democrats themselves paid for the false dossier out of which this whole impeachment thing comes. Now she calls us all enemies of the state. I mean, it's just one thing after another, after another, after another. Her actions, her attitudes, it's all toxic. And frankly, I feel like she does need to be vacated as the Speaker of the House.
Yeah. John?
Well, it must be a little tough, though, Congressman, to be in the minority. And unfortunately, a number of your colleagues have decided that they can't take it anymore and they've retired rather than run for re-election to be in the minority again. But so I congratulate you for staying in the battle, because we can never give up.
We're hanging in there like a loose tooth, but we're hanging in there.
This is our country, and we have to keep fighting.
The stakes are too high, John. You're exactly right. We are in the fight of our life for this country, and this is not the time to retreat. This is not the time to back up. This is the time that everyone, whether you're in politics or whether you're just a citizen of this country whose voice matters. This is our country, and this is the time that we have got to stand up and fight for it, because literally the Democrats want to change this into a socialist Marxist country. I don't know that there has ever been a more important election in the history of our nation than what we're about to face.
What's the we're talking about you were talking about the promises kept and the other through line for our discussion for our Eagle Countdown, all these folks. And by the way, if people have questions I mentioned on the media platform that you're on, feel free to send them into us. Our folks, whether on YouTube or Facebook or Periscope, they get them into me here, and we'll get to them. And one of the questions that I received here for you: congressional races are by definition, unless you're in one of those big, Idaho or something. You got to fight over a piece of land. Like, it's not the whole state, right. and so it's a little more local. But also the money we were talking about. Bloomberg will throw $100 million into Florida and try to change all those elections. How do you feel about the House? I mean, it feels like Pelosi's able to hold a lot of seats, that if AOC people thought about these people, they would change them out. But I don't know. You don't hear a lot of talk about winning the House right now. I think it's possible, but what's the sense in the House?
It may be an uphill battle, but it absolutely is possible. I think unquestionably, if the president has a good night on November 3rd, the House is going to have a good night as well. I mean, people tend to say sometimes this is not about the president. It is. He is the one who is leading the charge. And in many respects, he is the one that so much is going to rest upon. But that being said, the manner in which Nancy Pelosi has become so toxic, AOC and the squad have become so dominant in taking the Democratic Party extremely to the left, and we're watching all these socialism, Marxist, anarchist movements across the country. In many respects, I believe even Democrats are saying about their own party, I've had enough, I'm not going to be supporting that. So I think there is a good chance.
Right.
I don't know percentage-wise, but there's a good chance we can take back the House.
One of our viewers on Facebook just texted me and said, how can our Eagles, our folks, help facilitate that, removing Pelosi from Speaker?
Call representatives. I mean, we are going to be having a conference tomorrow morning on this issue in our conference to discuss it. And this is one of those decisions, and the rules in the House have changed, but we cannot move forward on this without leadership, specifically Kevin McCarthy, saying we're going to do this. So that's the issue.
We've talked about on the tell our Eagles all the time, the switchboard for the Capitol, 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121. You can get connected through to your Congressman. John, any more for Congressman Hice?
Well, keep up the fight, Congressman Hice. I noticed last week, for example, that Pelosi rammed through a series of very radical bills Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And what I noticed was that every Democrat voted in favor of each one of these bills. But the Republicans, unfortunately, there were a dozen or 24 who peeled off. And so that's a problem that the Republicans always have. I don't know what we can do about that, we can't keep our people in line the way the Democrats can. Do you have any comment
listen,
about that?
That all comes down to elections. And, you watch right now, it seems as though that across the country, those who are winning are those who are either solid on the right or solid on the left. It's the middle road. It's those who are just kind of hanging out. They hang out with Republicans and vote Democrat. These are the ones that are most vulnerable, and they should be at such an hour as this. Those are the ones that we need to help find another job come November.
Congressman Jody Hice, I have one more question. I want to get it because we're going to talk to Senator Ted Cruz next, so he'll be even more into this issue. But you're in the House side, so you don't have to vote on a nominee. But you were a pastor. You're a pastor. And Senator Feinstein said to one of the possible nominees, there's the Amy Coney Barrett, who's a judge now, and Feinstein said to her, the dogma runs kind of strong in you. Now, you're a pastor, you care about religious liberty. That sounds a lot like a religious test.
Well, it absolutely is. But listen, every person, including her, has a worldview. And that worldview influences everything you believe and everything you stand for. And for her or anyone else to point the finger at a Christian or any person who holds deeply held religious beliefs and says to them, in essence, you're disqualified because your worldview is too Christian or too biblical, is themselves an individual whose strong worldview is so biased that they themselves would disqualify themselves if the same standard were held against them. But that's what America is. We are a land where you're free to hold your beliefs, I'm free to have mine, and someone else is, and we get in here, we debate, and the best ideas and principles win, and so forth. But yeah, we are increasingly seeing our country become hostile to people of faith, and all the more reason why this election stands out as perhaps the most important in our nation's history.
Well, Congressman Jody Hice, thank you for your help for all our Eagles. Many of our Eagle leaders and folks across the country know Congressman Hice has been with us other times. So thanks for your leadership. I hope you win every race and you're back in the majority. That'd be more fun. And if you can remove Pelosi from the chair, we'll keep putting it out to our folks. So yeah.